up? It's Cinema Shogun here, and as I'm watching these events unfold over in Israel and in the Middle East, and as I'm seeing these little pockets, these little outbursts of weird situations happening throughout the world, I can't help but feel like this might be it. This might actually be World War III. Like, I know that every time something happens in the world, people say, oh, it's World War III, or oh, it's happening. But I can't ignore all of the moves that are currently being made. It looks like the stage is being set. The U.S. is putting missile defense systems all throughout the Middle East as we speak, in various countries, in various areas. And these defense systems aren't for, little homemade rockets fired by Hamas. No, these defense systems are there for other reasons. I don't think that they're putting out all of these, fads or whatever they call them. I don't think they're positioning these things all around the world right now because of Hamas. Obviously, they're getting prepared for something bigger. NATO is currently gathering the largest fleet ever out in the ocean as we speak. The 2 aircraft carrier strike groups that were sent to Israel, those are not the only ships out there. Other NATO countries have been quietly sending ships along the way as well. And as I reported to you all the other day, China has now strategically placed 6 of their ships closer to the action. Russia is readying their hypersonic missiles. There's this weird incident that happened in South Korea yesterday. They found some North Koreans floating off the coast by their beach. There was this big joint exercise between South Korea, America, and Japan yesterday and over the weekend. And now, there seems to be some activity in the Philippines. Now, if you don't know, the U.S. military over the past few years has been working on these new bases in the Philippines. And now, there are claims, there's videos as well, I'm going to show you in just a moment, of Chinese ships, Coast Guard, military ships, using bullying tactics on ships from the Philippines. So, in the grand scheme of things, when you see something like this, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it's like we're sitting on top of a powder keg right now, and all it takes is one spark and we're all going to blow. You know what I mean? So these little pockets of violence, little pockets of, sometimes they're not even violent exchanges, but we have these little incidents that are taking place throughout the world that seem as if they're all part of a bigger plan, a bigger scheme, if you will. I want to go ahead and show you some of these videos of what's been happening out towards the Philippines and the South China Sea, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
Nabidyohan ko po, nabidyohan ko.
I don't know how many of you all know your history, but World War II didn't just start overnight. It wasn't like, oh, it's World War II now, the whole world's going to war. No. There were little issues, little problems, little skirmishes, little incidents throughout the world that eventually led to what you know as World War II. Same thing's happening right now, if you ask me. Now, if you want me to be completely honest with you all, I feel as if World War III started a while ago. It hasn't been fought on the ground with soldiers per se, but I feel like it started a while back. And as I'm watching everything that is playing out right now, I kind of feel like the world superpowers are ready to go to war. But no one wants to fight war on their soil. Obviously, America's not really used to fighting war over here on our soil. I doubt Russia wants World War III to be fought in Russia. China doesn't want any, problems in their little towns and their big cities, right? So it looks like the battlefield has been chosen. And the battlefield is the Middle East. So we may be seeing all of these other pockets of violence and all of these other little situations pop off around the world, but I think the battlefield has been chosen. I think the one thing that America and our enemies can agree on is we don't want to fight at home. So I really think that the Middle East is being set up for World War III, where it's going to be fought primarily in the Middle East. Now, it may be fought through proxy wars. We might not see direct collisions between China and America, but we're going to see people under the influence of China doing things. We're going to see people under the influence of America, or countries under the influence of America and China, fighting each other as we provide weapons, equipment, and eventually, boots on the ground as well. But when I'm looking at everything play out, that's what I see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that's what we're really headed towards here. But as far as what's going down in the Philippines, the Department of National Defense put out this press statement. We wish to acknowledge the statements issued by the governments of France, South Korea, and Japan supporting the Philippines in the latest incident wherein Chinese vessels operating illegally, aggressively, and provocatively hit Philippine ships in the West Philippine Sea. The United States reaffirms that article of the 1951 U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty extends to armed attacks on Philippine Armed Forces, public vessels, and aircraft, including those of its Coast Guard, anywhere in the South China Sea. Now, the 1951 U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty basically commits both the United States and the Philippines to come to each other's aid in the event of an armed attack in the Pacific area, as long as it is in accordance with their respective constitutional processes. So, in other words, if China were to attack the Philippines, if anyone were to attack the Philippines, of course, America's going to get involved. And the more you know, the more you start to realize, damn, America's got one of these treaties with damn near everyone in the world. Oh, you get attacked, America's coming. And if America gets attacked, I'm sure the Philippines is coming to help. If we were to get invaded or attacked tomorrow, which is very unlikely, but if it ever happened, do you really think all of these little allies that we have around the world would come to our defense? I don't think they would. I highly doubt that the Philippines would come help out America if something happened on our soil. If war were to break out and we were fighting China or Russia right here in America, I don't think the Philippines, Israel, or none of these people are coming to help. But of course, it's always the other way around. And that's why it's not always smart when America signs these treaties, because the reality is the things that these countries have to worry about and what we have to worry about is totally different. It's way more likely that someone would attack the Philippines as opposed to trying to invade the US or something along those lines. But we got all of these treaties with all of these countries that, hey, no matter what, if something happens to you, we're going to be there to fight with you. But it's like the risk outweighs the reward. What are we really getting from it? We're pouring money into these countries. We're pouring money into these foreign wars. And when ish hits the fan, none of these people are going to be around to help. And half of them aren't even capable of helping in the first place. But this is what's happening out there in the Philippines as we speak. And remember, like I said, if something happens to the Philippines, if someone attacks the Philippines, that's another war. That's another war. That's another country that we're going to be pouring money into. But make no mistake about it, America has a lot of interest in this region of the world. And as all of our eyes are on Russia and all of our eyes are on Israel, we got to worry about that. Okay, we really do. Because Taiwan, Japan, whatever's going on in Korea and the Philippines, I mean, China wants it. You know what I mean? China, I don't think they're happy about all of the new military bases that we're putting in the Philippines. I don't think China's happy about how close we are to Japan now. But we are. And if China was smart, if things really did reach that point, that's what China's going to be primarily focused on. They're going to be focused on retaking Taiwan, possibly trying to take Japan and the Philippines. China already claims that a lot of these islands belong to them anyway. And they don't want to acknowledge that these are their own, these are their own countries, their own nations, their own provinces, their own places, whatever. They don't want to acknowledge that. So there's already been beef there for years as well. So I don't know what's happening, folks, but it's becoming clearer to me every day as we watch all of these events unfold. I do not think that they're not connected. I don't think these are just a bunch of coincidences happening around the world, because all of this stuff wasn't happening a few years ago. But it's like right on cue. The war in Ukraine breaks out. And ever since that, or really, you could really trace it back to that virus that spread across the world. Remember? Think about the chain of events between the lockdowns that we went under and now. We have this virus spreading that was supposedly, probably, they don't want to say it, and I'm probably not supposed to say it on YouTube, but most likely came from a lab in China. Now we have a war in Ukraine, war breaking out in the Middle East. China is starting to act really aggressively towards the Philippines, Taiwan. South Korea and North Korea were already in their own mess and always have been. So you tell me what you think. I don't think that I'm being a conspiracy theorist here. I don't think that I'm being pessimistic. I just think that I'm being realistic. And I really feel like our enemies are... I feel like they're working closer together than what we think. Because you see what's happening in the Philippines and okay, that's just, whatever's happening there. I really do think it's connected to everything else that's happening. It's like our enemies have gotten the green light. They've gotten the go-ahead to start poking and prodding and trying to find our soft spots, to see how far they can push things without retaliation. So much going on right now. It's hard to keep up with. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you're feeling generous, drop a super thanks. But you can support my channel for free by simply hitting that thumbs up button, subscribing, ringing that notification bell, sharing this video with your friends. And as always, I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.